Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. The Independent Policing Union of South Africa is calling for the South African Police Service to be restructured. It says the SAPS requires a strong and capable force with good management. IPUSA says the current SAPS structure is not working optimally, adding that it puts great pressure on police officers and the limited resources. For more on this, we're joined by IPUSA General Secretary Mpho Kwinika. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you raise a very important topic here, because as matters stand, just watching the impact of crime from what's happened with the gang rape of women who were out to just, create a music video, and that ending in catastrophe, the impact on the community. You are saying that police need to be more, need to do away with being reactive.
Yes. Good evening, South Africans. I want to take this opportunity first to pass our deepest and sincere condolences to the family of those police officers who were killed, recently. Yeah. South Africa is ravaged by crime. South Africa needs a police force that is very strong and capable, to deal with these issues of crime. And for us to do that, we need to make sure that our organizational design is geared towards fighting crime. Currently, we are seeing a police service that is utilizing reactive policing instead of utilizing proactive policing to curb crime. The reactive policing had failed throughout the world, and South Africa needs to move slowly out of that environment and spend more resources on proactive policing than reactive policing.
But what will it take? I mean, just this evening, you make mention of the officers killed in Boksburg on the East Rand. Of course, just a few weeks ago, we heard of a police station being robbed by criminals. They came in and took ammunition and all sorts at a police station, which in itself really speaks to a massive, massive problem when it comes to policing in South Africa. We also, this evening, as I was speaking to the KZN Premier, she was talking about how police will be roped out to ensure that there's compliance with trucks. But community members there are saying that there are no resources. As these plans are being made, there are not enough police in the area to manage the area.
Well, it is common cause or common knowledge in the public that the South African Police Service have got problems with human resource, which is manpower and vehicles. I think the Minister and the National Commissioner are on record having said that. That is why we are saying they are left with no other option now. If you see them utilizing reactive policing, it tells you that there is a critical shortage of those two resources. But the police can do better with the limited resources that they have today. We need to make sure that we depend on technology. The whole world is also shifting away from this manual kind of policing. They are getting into the world of technology. They are utilizing drones. They're utilizing, what you call this, the tracker systems. Yeah. They're utilizing, the eaves, to listen to people, but for the purpose of dealing with crime. So if we buy a lot of those equipments, the current police service that we have, I'm talking about boots to the ground, will be well complemented by this equipment, as opposed to them now all of us have to depend on these two materials, human and even vehicles, because there aren't enough. The police that suffered for the past 3 years, they've lost 2 billion rand on compensation of employees. Okay, and that has created so much problem amongst the police men and women themselves, because there are no promotions for them. You are sitting with a police force that is not happy. You're sitting with a police force which is disillusioned. They don't even want to wake up in the morning to go to work because they feel that they are marginalized. They're not being taken care of. And the more we utilize reactive policing, is the more the resources, the little resources which we have, got worn up. You got cars that sit in the garage for quite a long time. The replacement of these vehicles also takes long. You got police officers. Every year, we're losing close to 5,000 police officers through normal attrition, resignations, dismissals, and all that. Even if they were to recruit 10,000 this year, at the end of this year, you have to take out 5,000. So is it possible that we are at any stage going to have sufficient human resource to service Africans? The answer will be not now. So what do we do then? We have to shift and now start depending on what we said earlier on, the issue of technology.
So in terms of budgets, I mean, where's the department standing with these bold announcements? Perhaps, you know, saying the word bold may sound backdated or outdated, pardon me, because the world is already there. And, you know, perhaps Africa or South Africa may be lagging behind.
The whole world, including Kenya in Africa, are moving towards what we call evidence-based kind of policy. South Africa, as one of the super countries in Africa, should be the one leading in that project. And please don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that Kenya is nothing as opposed to South Africa.
Yes.
But we are seeing a lot of activities when it comes to issues of crime in this country, demands that we change the model of policing that we are utilizing. So budget, it plays a very important role. So we, SAPS, have got budget vote 20, I think in May this year, we had 104 billion rand given to the police. But 104 billion rand, what can you do with it when you're overwhelmed by criminals? These guys are everywhere. They are intelligent, while our intelligence is darking, you know, that's chasing shadows.
Yeah.
They are, these people are fearless when there is so much fear instilled in our police officers. Our police officers are highly, highly regulated. You've got IPID who looks after their conduct. If they make a mistake during the chasing of criminals, even when criminals are wrong, and they shoot the criminal to death or even injure them, they know that IPID is going to be behind their backs. It's their duty, yes, to, as a watchdog, to look after the conduct of the police if they have made a mistake. But the police, men and women, deserve support from the police management as well.
Yeah. I'd like us to touch on support just as we wrap up, but the other notion which perhaps may be seen as increasing the levels of crime are the perceptions or perhaps suggestions about the inside job. Senior police officers also being involved, allegedly, in crime from the inside. How does that then, you know, destabilize the country?
Discipline. Discipline. You know, discipline has come down in the service because of some senior management who does not know why they are here. We've got 55% of police officers, senior officers, who have been employed within this environment, who haven't been to college, you know, or through, who haven't come through the entry level of the police. We see most of them being brought in laterally. Some of them are brought in politically as well. These people, they are called plastic cops. They have got different names members on the ground gives them because of their inability to lead. Many members on the ground are there to be managed. They need commanders who have got the capacity to lead. You cannot expect a person, a seasoned police officer, to be led by a person who have got no clue about what policing is all about. And I'm touching on this issue because I hear a lot of people, they feel so comfortable to casualize this issue of bringing a person who have got no expertise at all. If the institution's discipline is maintained and not utilized or weaponized to fight the people who have got the capacity to lead and make them on the touchline, put them on the touchline. You know, you've got a policy here that says if you are disciplined, within 90 days, your discipline should have been completed. Yeah. We have got police officers who are sitting outside with more than 7 years. What is it that they are looking for that they cannot have in 7 years to find that person guilty and then summarily then release that person from the service?
Yeah, it's an important question. We have seen with the crime levels increasing, calls for Police Minister Bheki to resign. Do you think, given, I mean, the breakdown that you're giving now, that those calls perhaps maybe without substance?
Look, he has, the Minister of Police is lucky because he's holding a political position.
Yeah.
So politicians can call him whatever they want to call him, which is completely different from our environment here. We have got an executive officer who is the National Commissioner of Police. And if he does something wrong, we will really talk to it. The minister is having embizos everywhere. He's creating awareness amongst the communities, you know, to come in handy and help the police to fight crime. Yeah. That is his duty. But let me tell you, these bezos, without being complemented by actions, you know, from the side of the police, may end up being a fruitless exercise. I think he needs to be supported. But if politicians feel that he is not doing a good job, they've got the right to call him to quit. Yeah. The National Commission of Police have a duty to make sure that South Africans are and that they feel safe.
I mean, you touched very briefly on police morale, and that is an integral part of the entire system. I mean, if police are demotivated, look at what South Africa is looking like. What is it going to take to ensure that kind of discipline, polished shoes, and motivated police officers who are out there serving the nation with pride in their numbers?
The hardest job again in South Africa, an unthinkable one. Even if you do a good job, no one really sees it. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he once said something that money is not the only motivational factor. If you acknowledge the good work that police officers does, that really gives an oomph, you know, behind police officers to do good. But there are other issues as well which complement that. The issue of promotions. The police have been, this is a huge department of state, 187,000 police officials. This department still does not have what we call the promotion policy.
Why would it not have it? I mean, where would the sticking point be?
They are very happy that they don't have it because politically they can bring in anyone that they want to, because then it is left in the hands of the National Commissioner of Police to promote whoever that he feels like promoting. The promotion policy regulates the movement of personnel within the service. The promotion policy tells you that if you have got qualifications, you may stay in this position for 2 years, and after 2 years, you'll be able to move. That's mobility. If you do not have qualifications but experience-based kind of promotions, you will have to stay here for 4 years. It gives requirements that a person needs to achieve before you move. Now, if a member knows that if I study, I'm going to be promoted, that member's morale will always be upbeat. The other thing that we need to fix in the police is the issue of having 2 acts in the service. You can't have the Peace Up Act and have the Police Act doing the same thing in one department. And I'm happy that the Portfolio Committee on Police are now handling these issues, which we as unions had failed to deal with. It is now in the hands of the politicians. We need to do away with Peace Up issues. We need to bring them into the Police Act and design what their responsibilities is going to be in this environment so that we remove the unpleasantness. Peace Up members, when they move, when they are at salary level 7, they are fighting with police officers at salary level 8. That's where the captains are, and you go up. So if you have 2 parallel structures, one responsible for support and the other one responsible for operations, and then you allow people who wants to provide support to move, you know, along those lines, and those who wants to provide operations to move along those lines. I think these things will come a long way of boosting the morale of our policemen and women.
Thank you very much. Let me thank you for coming in studio to talk to us about this very important story that, of course, Mpho Kwinika, the General Secretary of Independent Policing Union of South Africa, speaking to some of the solutions that are needed in fixing up the South African police service.